Detroit, it's time to tighten up. Welcome to Tighten Up, the podcast, presented by The Shield NIL. A state of the Titans, the latest in Detroit Mercy athletics, and a chance to hear from Titans all over the world. Here's your host, Dan Hasty.
And just like that, show number one was off and running. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Tighten Up, the podcast, presented by The Shield Collective. My name is Dan Hasty, radio, TV voice of the Detroit Mercy Titans men's basketball team. What a pleasure it is to be able to join you and take you on this journey through Detroit Mercy athletics. And not just basketball, but through all different facets of Detroit Mercy athletics. We're going to go through all the different programs. We're going to talk about everything going on at Detroit Mercy. We have lots of different stories to tell. And what a great way to be able to do that with you. You know, Detroit has a lot of things going on. It has 4 major sports teams, and it has so many different things to do. For the longest time, there has needed to be a special place dedicated specifically to the Titans program. This will serve as the answer to that need. This show will operate as a weekly State of the Titans. I also like to think that it'll serve as a time capsule for things like the revival of Detroit Mercy basketball, building from the ground up after their season last year. And they're already off to a dynamite start. So we'll always look at the week that was. We're going to have some phenomenal guests. We're going to give some things away, but we'll break things down. We'll give you our observations. We're going to talk to different people, whether it be the student athletes, the coaches, people inside administration. Give you an idea as to what influences the people who shape this program, whether it be on or off the field, on or off the court. We'll talk with members of the local media, the national media. We'll get their perspectives. So how will this show operate? You're going to see roughly around 3 shows per week. We'll probably talk to somebody just about every single week. And if we haven't met, I've had the chance to be with the Detroit Mercy Titans men's basketball program since 2018. I came in with the Antoine Davis era of Detroit Mercy basketball. And now into the Mark Montgomery era. But there's so many different wonderful things happening right now. I think about Kay Doctor, who's done such a fantastic job with women's basketball. Already off to a start, having won 4 of her first 5 games with her team. 3 of those wins over Mid-American Conference opponents. That is one of the best stories at this entire university. There's a lot of good things that have been happening over the course of the last 6 to 12 months, whether it be getting to know the new president, Donald Taylor. You could really tell when you talk to Donald, you could tell that there is passion. And we've seen it on a number of different occasions. And I think that's something that a lot of people had been hoping for, waiting for. And I think as time goes on, you'll see that as a true driving force behind what happens in this program. And I don't think it's a coincidence. You know, bringing it back to men's basketball, I think when you watch Mark Montgomery coach, I think there's a little Donald Taylor in there. I think if Donald Taylor was a coach, I think he would probably look a lot like the way that Mark Montgomery coaches. I was listening to Monty talk, and he was saying that he channels to his players. He says, feed off of me. But there's 8 different women's sports. We're going to talk about every single one of them, whether you're on the basketball team, you're running cross country, you're fencing, you're on the golf team or lacrosse or soccer or softball, whether you're on either of the track and field teams, the 7 different men's sports, We're going to run the gamut. We're going to learn stories from every single aspect. We're going to be finding out things about every different aspect of Detroit Mercy athletics. That's the voice that not only that this program needs, but the voice that it deserves. Also wanted to say a huge thank you to our friends at the Shield Collective for helping to make this possible. And also thanks to our sponsors, including Last Shot. Tighten Up is brought to you by Last Shot Premium Hydration, the official hydration drink of the Tighten Up podcast. The revolutionary formula is packed with vitamin B12 and 0 grams of sugar. It helps the Titans hydrate, replenish, and recover. Try it at Callahan Hall or learn more at LastShotOfficial.com. And make sure you use promo code TIGHTENUP1234. And by Hyperice, the leading provider of innovative technology for recovery, mobility, and improved performance. They help the Titans, and they can help you too. Be sure to catch their holiday savings at Hyperice.com. If I can tell you one thing above all else as part of this show, it would be this. If you're unfamiliar, if you haven't done it before, join the community at The Shield online. It's online at theshieldnil.org. That's theshieldnil.org. Ways to donate. A store can learn all about the mission, the purpose, how they help student athletes, how they do it. And the mission is to communicate to people, whether it be in Metro Detroit, in Southeast Michigan, the historical traditions of that Jesuit education, now synergized into the University of Detroit Mercy. You know, since the Jesuits founded Detroit College about 150 years ago, the student athlete has been vital. If you go back to 1896, it was intramural sports. And it was men's basketball games that began in 1905. 06. And then, of course, back in 1990, that was when the University of Detroit and then Mercy College of Detroit consolidated. And that was when the new UDM recognized the importance of those historical values. They retained the nickname Titans, kept Tommy Titan, the mascot, and they combined the two schools into the current red, white, and blue. So, who inspires the Shield? You can talk about Father Gerald Kavanaugh, who bridged the consolidation and always attended as many Titan games as he could. But it's more than talk. It is a commitment. They're there to support and serve in this new age of college athletics. As things have evolved, they're there to assist student athletes. But most importantly, to do it in the right way. Because all these student athletes who give so much to the University of Detroit Mercy, that's who we're here for. So here's what we'll do. Coming up, and each week we'll do this. We will listen through and give you the week that was for Detroit Mercy Athletics. We'll obviously have a focus on the marquee sports. We'll give you a heads up as to what has happened for the latest and greatest in Detroit Mercy Athletics. We'll look at some of the alumni. We'll have special segments to keep you updated on past players, present players, and perhaps some players of the future. There's a whole lot that we will keep track of here on Tighten Up the podcast. We'll have special guests even as soon as this week. Much more to come as we go through Tighten Up here on the podcast. Also, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody at the University of Detroit Mercy, led by the athletic director, Robert Vowles, PJ Gradowski, who works inside of the athletic department. There are so many people that help make things go for Detroit Mercy Athletics, and we could not do a show like this without their support. That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks to all of you for listening. Number 1 in the books. Be sure to check back later in the week when we chat Titans men's basketball. And don't forget to follow me on X at @DanHasty. A massive thank you to our friends at The Shield for putting this together. And I'll talk to you Titans of Industry next time.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Tighten Up, the podcast. Join our community at The Shield on theshieldnil.org and follow us on X and Instagram at The Shield NIL.